What up, everybody?
Yo, what's good?
Welcome to the 5th episode of PCFP.
Which stands for Pop Culture Free Press. If you've been watching our videos, you would know that.
Yes, and once again, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jalen.
And thank you for watching, and we ask you to continue to do so. And subscribe, like the page we made.
We have a Facebook page and as well as a YouTube page. So please continue to support that. Thank you so much.
Yep. You start off.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and start off with the first topic of today. So I want to talk about the white mayor of, I believe the city was Airway Heights. It's in Washington, kind of by Spokane. But he basically spoke out on Facebook and said that President Obama was a monkey man. And he called First Lady Michelle Obama a gorilla face. And the city council was obviously unhappy about that, and they pushed for him to resign. And he said that he will not resign because that means that he's a racist, which he is not, which he claimed he's not. But he said those things about the president and the first lady, and obviously some people were very offended by that. The town that he presides over is like 7,000 people, very small, but they want him to be fired, basically. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. He said it on his Facebook page, right?
Yeah, he said it on his Facebook page.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say that kind of stuff about the president or the first lady, unfortunately. Yeah, I guess he should be.
I feel like
or I don't know. I don't know what you would do to maybe one of his paychecks be taken. I don't know.
I feel like it wouldn't be as much of an issue. An issue if he wasn't the mayor of the town.
Mm-hmm.
If he wasn't like in a political position like that. When people make those sort of comments or do certain things in Congress or in politics, they usually get fired immediately. You can't do that when you represent the city. So I think that he definitely should be fired, in my opinion. You can't make mistakes like that and not pay the consequences. But whether he's a racist or not, that's on him. I feel like since he's the mayor and said those things, then that's not okay, in my eyes.
That's true. I agree. So the next topic is, I'm sure we all heard about the VMA Awards nominations that came out.
Mm-hmm.
They released their nominations a few weeks before the award show, and it comes on MTV. And Nicki Minaj was unhappy about not getting a certain nomination. She's nominated for 3, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But she wanted to get nominated for Video of the Year, either for Anaconda or her song Feeling Myself that she did with Beyonce.
She wanted Anaconda to be Video of the Year?
Mm-hmm. Well, her thing was both of those videos broke Vivo's record or something like that for the most views or something like that. But I feel like people aren't grateful anymore. You got nominated for 3.
Right.
Yeah. What else do you need? And I feel like, do you really want to be nominated for Anaconda? Do you?
Anaconda, that was some video. I feel like the American public as a whole generally disliked that video and thought it was distasteful. But as far as Vivo goes, she got a crazy amount of views, that's for sure.
Well, I thought they didn't like the song, but everybody liked the video.
There was people speaking about, because all the girls were scantily clothed.
I know, I've seen it multiple times.
And, they thought that, that was over the line as far as disrespecting women in that fashion. But Nicki Minaj herself was dressed like that too. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just like her backup dancers were. But I don't know. There was mixed emotions, I feel like, about the videos. I feel like the other one with Beyonce in it, I think she just wanted to get nominated because Beyonce was in it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, neither one of those videos were video of the year.
They weren't anything special. I feel like besides it's just people dancing in it. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Be happy that you got the nominations that you got, and you'll probably win those. You more than likely will.
But you know, people they're not grateful nowadays. But okay, I'll move on with the next topic. So the second topic that I want to talk about is President Obama's reform for the prisons and the justice system. So he basically spoke out a couple weeks ago about prisoners who are addicted to drugs such as heroin and crack cocaine and things of those natures. Their prison sentences are a little harsh, and he said those things need to be reformed because somebody that molests a child or a rapist or something like that, in my opinion, some people have got like 5 or 6 year sentences, and somebody addicted to crack cocaine gets a 20-year sentence. Mm-hmm. I feel like that person needs counseling, and they need to be in a rehabilitation center. Yeah. Not just stuck in prison for 20 years, because that's not going to change them. When they get out, they'll still have the habit probably. That's not really rehabilitating them. But I agree with President Obama's prison reform. I feel like he's the first president that I know of that actually spoke out and addressed it as a president. Mm-hmm. And he even visited some of the prisons. So I do agree with the decision. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. I feel like more focus should be put on the rapists, murderers. All of those people should be in prison longer. Mm-hmm. People with drug problems, I feel like they should force them to get help more, not just send them to jail.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to actually segue into our next topic. The next topic that I wanted to share, going off of, speaking of prison, so there was a famed police officer in Maine that worked as, I believe he was a police chief or he was a sergeant, one of those things. But he worked as a policeman for 26 years. He was voted Trooper of the Year multiple times. He's well decorated. However, he just was charged with a 4-year sentence and had to pay $5,000 for molesting and raping a 4-year-old girl over and over again. I'm not sure if there's video evidence of him doing it, but they do know that it was a fact that he did it. And he actually pleaded guilty and admitted that he did it over and over again. Obviously, the little girl's family and herself were traumatized by the whole thing. And he's only going to get 4 years for raping the girl because his lawyer, his defense attorney, pleaded that the defamation of his reputation and everything was already enough trouble for him. So a 4-year sentence should be enough. Thoughts?
That's disgusting. First of all, I think that he should definitely have a harsher sentence if they know for a fact he did it and he admitted it. Mm-hmm. Just like if Bill Cosby, if one of those women had came forward earlier,
right,
and the statute of limitations wasn't up, and they accused him and they won, he should be in prison for a long time.
Bill Cosby.
I feel like it's the same thing.
It's the exact same thing in my opinion, and I feel like I don't care if he was the best cop in the United States of America history. Somebody that's a public service. Okay, how can I say this? Somebody that works for the people. They get paid from our tax dollars and everything like that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if they've been consistently good their whole career. Something this terrible should be charged just like if it was a regular citizen doing it. And the fact that he's a police officer doesn't change the fact that he molested and raped a 4-year-old girl. No. And I think that his prison sentence should be much longer than that. Mm-hmm. Originally, the judge was going to charge him with a 30-year sentence for grotesque assault, I believe, against a minor. But since he pleaded guilty, that reduced his sentence, and after the court trial and proceedings, it got down to 4 years. But it was originally 30 years. I feel like it should definitely be over 10, in my opinion. The family wanted at least 8, but he's actually only going to serve 4 and pay $5,000 to the 4-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's one of the flaws in our justice system, because I think what the family also wanted most of all was an admission. And you know, when plea bargains and stuff are going on, he may have said, "I'll only admit it if it's 4 years," or something like that.
If it's a lesser sentence.
Because just because somebody is found guilty, let's say they went through all of the proceedings and he was found guilty, he still may have never admitted that it happened.
Right.
And I think in those situations, I don't have a family member or anything that happened to, but I think what families want most of all is for that person to admit that they did it.
That he did it. So, I mean,
he should
that's a part of why our prisons and our justice system need to be reformed. So, I agree with what the president is doing. This was obviously a tragic case.
Yeah.
Somebody that well decorated for 26 years on the force, and then you find out behind closed doors he's molesting 4-year-olds. I mean,
it's some wrong in the head with people who molest anybody but babies and toddlers, especially.
And actually, this case was brought up, when people make the argument for good cop and bad cop. I mean, I do believe there are very good cops that do their job correctly and all of that. But at the same time, you never know what somebody's doing behind closed doors. You never know what their inner thoughts are, their interactions that they go through. And this is a clear example of that. 26 years on the force, and he's a child molester. Somebody could be a very good cop, very good husband, all of those things, but you just never know what he's doing. So,
what's done in the dark always comes to the light.
That's right. So, you can go ahead and close it out with the last one, though. I don't have any more.
Well, it's like 1.5 more. But speaking of all this political stuff, Donald Trump in the news again.
Oh, Donald.
He's become like the center of the party of this election season. Like, he's the piñata. It's like
he's winning too, apparently.
Oh yeah, he's number one in most of the polls. And I think that's mostly because people do. I'll even admit, I do, even though I don't agree with a lot of the things that he says, at least he says whatever's on his mind. He doesn't use the rhetoric that a lot of them use. He says what he thinks.
Yeah, he's very blunt.
Yeah.
I do respect him for being blunt, and, he doesn't usually go back on what he says, or he stands by what he says, so.
Yeah, and the latest thing was he was in a town hall meeting, and he said that John McCain is not a war hero because he was captured. And he said that he likes people who weren't captured. I'm like, you're an idiot. You can't say stuff like that.
Usually what makes people war heroes are when they're captured and they escape.
He was tortured. He was in a plane that blew up and he had to swim to safety.
Right.
John McCain is a war hero.
Doesn't matter if he's Democratic or Republican. No, he's a war hero.
Yes.
As far as that goes, I'm very proud of John McCain for how he served this country. Now, Donald Trump, he's tried it.
But stuff like this is why the Huffington Post said that they're no longer going to put him in the political category of their editorial. He's going in the entertainment section with Caitlyn Jenner and Nicki Minaj and everybody else because he's not a politician.
He may drop out of the Republican Party too, I think.
Yeah, well, he said if they don't respect him and start embracing him more, he's going to drop out of the Republican Party and run as an independent.
The thing I don't understand about Donald Trump mainly is
the Tea Party.
Is that what the Tea Party? Isn't his wife Mexican?
Yeah.
She's Latina, and he speaks out about Mexican people like every single one of them in the country are criminals. People that maybe lived here 30 years, immigrated over. They're all criminals. They're all bringing the country down.
And he keeps talking about building this wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
There are two things about that. Number one, there's already a wall up. There's already a wall.
Yeah, there's already one.
Apparently, it ain't doing that good of a job because people keep coming over. But there is a wall. Second of all, who do you think is going to build this wall? If you make all the illegals leave, black people aren't going to work out in the sun.
We so not going to be out there.
Neither are white people.
White folk ain't going to be out there.
Who do you think is going to build this wall? Like, if you get rid of all, who's going to build it?
And who's going to pick all that fruit, all them vegetables and everything that all those workers do down south for the country? You know, who's going to replace them jobs that they do? If you want to abolish everybody out?
Yeah.
I'm just being logical, being a realist, but, you know.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that, you know, you don't want any more illegals coming over, but the ones that are here, find a way to work with them. Like, don't kick people out that's coming here for a reason.
I feel like somebody that's established their family in the country for like 10 or 15 years, at this point, you're a resident of the country. And, you know, they should just find a way. I mean, I don't know how they're going to stop every single person from coming over. A 10 or 12 foot wall may do the trick. It may not. We'll see, I guess, if he wins. But
the last topic is 50 Cent. I'm sure we've all been hearing about all of this stuff, about how this woman is suing him for. Yeah. I think she sued actually for $30 million.
Is that Rick Ross girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he released a sex tape of her and somebody else. And she sued him for defamation of character. She won $5 million. This man, 2 days later, files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
50 Cent filed for bankruptcy.
Yes.
He had like $100 million in 2006. You don't just lose it. Well, basketball players and people, they do lose it, but
not 50 Cent.
Not 50 Cent. He had a clothing line. He had all types of stuff out.
But see, one of the first rules of being rich is have nothing in your name.
Yeah, right.
So, I guess what he's saying is the debt that he owes is equal to or outweighs what his personal money is, which I don't believe.
I don't believe that.
But so they went back to court after he filed for bankruptcy, and the judge said, "Oh well, now you're gonna pay $7 million.
Since you want to play games, we gonna charge you more. Then you gonna owe the girl $7."
But ultimately, the bankruptcy judge is going to be the one that decides how much his payments will be each month or every year or whatever.
He could be broke. Personally, I feel like 50 has enough money to hand her $7 million outright.
Yeah.
If he wants to. But, you know, I don't think he want to pay the money.
Yeah, that's just it. He just don't want to give her the money, which, you know, don't do stuff like that. You can't release sex tapes of people. I'm sorry.
Not TMZ.
No, you can't do that.
Well.
Well, that concludes this week's episode.
Okay.
And we thank you all for watching, and like, subscribe, do all of that stuff.
Comment, share.
Yes, and thank y'all for watching.